Australia's new Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, has signalled the G20 summit and presidency of the Security Council could be factors in election timing. His predecessor, Julia Gillard, had set September the 14th as polling day. But on his first day back in office, Mr Rudd did not stand by the commitment. In Parliament, the re-elected Prime Minister also declared China's resources boom over and said that structural readjustment was the challenge for the Australian economy. Mr Rudd has returned to the position he held from 2007 until 2010, when he was overthrown by the Gillard forces. Political editor Catherine McGrath reports.
I, Kevin Michael Rudd, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Commonwealth of Australia, her land and her people, in the office of Prime Minister, so help me God.
For 3 years he was out of office. Now, after his own backroom coup, he's returned as leader.
This morning I called on Her Excellency the Governor-General. The Governor-General has commissioned me as the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Australia.
With a federal election pending, Prime Minister Rudd is equipped with promises for the future.
And I could say to the Leader of the Opposition, if the Australian people vote him in as the next Prime Minister of Australia, if they do, there is one core economic challenge facing us all, and that is this. The China resources boom is over. And the China trade itself represents such a huge slice of the Australian national economy that we are looking at one huge adjustment for this nation's standards of living in the future unless we continue to act with appropriate policy responses.
The loser in this final battle, former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, is quitting politics altogether. Her Treasurer Wayne Swan and 5 key cabinet ministers have refused to serve with Kevin Rudd. Some are going to the backbench, others leaving politics. Those who switched camps were left to explain their motives.
Yesterday I made the personal decision that I could no longer support Prime Minister Gillard. I met with her to advise her of that fact, and it was the most difficult decision of my political life. But ultimately I believed I had to do what I thought was in the best interest of the Labor Party, and through that, the best interest of the nation.
Labor was looking at a prospect of being well defeated, and these things happen, you win and you lose. But even more important than that, I cannot believe it is in the interest of Australian democracy or Australian people, the people in my electorate of the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne, that the coalition and the conservative view of the world represented by Tony Abbott should control the Senate and the House of Representatives and have unlimited power in Australia.
In the late hours of the night in Canberra, in the end, the change came swiftly. Julia Gillard called on the vote for the party leadership, but her support had slipped. Kevin Rudd emerged from the caucus vote the winner.
In 2007, the Australian people elected me to be their Prime Minister. That is a task that I resume today with humility, with honour, and with an important sense of energy and purpose.
In the years in which I've served as Prime Minister, predominantly I have faced a minority parliament, and I've also faced internal division within my political party. It has not been an easy environment to work in. But I am pleased that in this environment, which wasn't easy, I have prevailed to ensure that this country is made stronger and smarter and fairer for the future.
And so the Australian Prime Ministership has returned to where it was 6 years ago. But back then, Julia Gillard was the Deputy Prime Minister. In the intervening years, the Labor government has been racked by division, and the leadership battle between Rudd and Gillard has left scars that will never heal. And this period will be remembered more for those divisions than for its achievements.
This is a fraught moment in the life of our nation. A Prime Minister has been dragged down. Her replacement owes the Australian people and the Australian Parliament an explanation.
This is the last week of Parliament and the last question time, so the only time the Prime Minister will face his opponent, Tony Abbott, in the chamber.
Why should the Australian people accept that their right to choose their Prime Minister has been usurped by faceless men for the second time in just 3 years?
The Prime Minister has the call.
Can I thank the honourable member for his question, Leader of the Opposition. In the 4 years that I was leader of the Australian Labor Party, I faced leaders John Howard, I faced Brendan Nelson, I faced also someone by the name of Malcolm Turnbull, and latterly, most recently, as the honourable member for Wentworth will recall, Tony Abbott. I had 4 leaders in 4 years. These are matters for internal to party deliberations in his party and in ours. Let's get on to questions about the country's future.
The defeated Prime Minister watched from the backbench, and as the day ended, Defence Minister Stephen Smith announced he would leave politics at the election. He thanked both Prime Minister Rudd and former Prime Minister Gillard and took a moment to focus on some policy achievements.
The work that we did to encourage the United States to join the East Asia Summit, the work we've done to encourage India to enhance its relationship with Australia, the work we've done with Africa to enhance both our strategic and economic relationships.
For the people of Australia, there's some confusion and concern about the last few days.
I thought it was another pretty embarrassing episode for Australian politics.
And I was glued to the television, I have to say. But I was very sad for Julia.
I don't understand really why what happened last night happened.
It won't be long before they get a chance to vote in the 2013 election.